I think it's vitally important to anything we create that we hold on to the spirit of what started all of this.
Today's video is a tough one. George Lucas just betrayed the majority of Star Wars fans. We all know what's happening with Disney right now. As they continue to drive Star Wars down into the ground, it's nearly dead, and for many fans, it already is dead. They have destroyed franchise after franchise. They're doing it right now with X-Men the Animated Series. They've done it with Star Wars. They've done it with Marvel. They've killed Marvel. And now, as Disney is in the middle of a proxy fight with Nelson Peltz and his team basically trying to carry out a hostile takeover of Disney and save the company, George Lucas has publicly spoken out, and he is backing Bob Iger and the current Disney regime. And that is very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Let's look and see what George Lucas had to say. And this is going to fire a lot of people up. And I love George Lucas. I am always going to be grateful for what George Lucas gave us in terms of the original trilogy, especially in creating Star Wars. But man, he has fallen off the deep end here. This is a terrible take. I'm sorry. This is just idiocy coming from George Lucas. Here we go. The Hollywood Reporter released at 4:52 a.m. this morning. There's a disturbance in the force, and George Lucas wants to help correct the problem. They say the Star Wars and Indiana Jones filmmaker is weighing in on the Walt Disney Company's ongoing proxy fight, and here's what they like to call it, with activist investors. And he is throwing his support firmly behind CEO Bob Iger and Disney's board. Now, I love the fact that the Hollywood Reporter and all these other media companies call Nelson Peltz and his team activist investors when many of us see Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy and other people at Disney as the activist. But anyways, here's what George Lucas had to say. Creating magic is not for amateurs. When I sold Lucasfilm just over a decade ago, I was delighted to become a Disney shareholder because of my longtime admiration for its iconic brand and Bob Iger's leadership, Lucas said in a statement Tuesday. Well, let me just stop right there. What does creating magic not being for amateurs have anything to do with this takeover? Anything to do with what's happening with the Disney board? It has nothing to do with it. Creators create. Creatives create. Nelson Peltz isn't going to be in there creating Star Wars. They hire people to do it the right way. They hopefully they hire people to do it minus the agenda or the message, if you know what I mean. Well, they continue. When Bob recently returned, this is George Lucas's words. When Bob Iger recently returned to the company during a difficult time, I was relieved. No one knows Disney better. I remain a significant shareholder because I have full faith and confidence in the power of Disney and Bob's track record of driving long-term value. I have voted all of my shares for Disney's 12 directors and urge other shareholders to do the same. That is a terrible take. Maybe he's just hoping, incorrectly too, probably, that the stock price per share will surge and he'll be able to sell and make his money back, because it's certainly not valued at what it once was for him. Being a big owner of Disney shares, being a big stockholder himself in George Lucas. But the fact that he is throwing his support behind the people who were actively ruining the company or have ruined it, they are literally driving it into the ground. And here is George Lucas, who we know had an issue with Bob Iger, who we know was betrayed with the route that they went with the sequel trilogy. Well, he's not even talking about Star Wars here. He's just talking about the price of the stock, the worth, the value of the company. But those two things go hand in hand. If they actually hired somebody to come in and fix these IPs, Star Wars, Marvel, and other things, and not destroy other ones like they're doing with X-Men 97 right now, then the stock price would begin to go up again. It would start to surge. Disney has all of the right tools, but they don't have the people that know how to use them. That's the problem. And George Lucas just backed the wrong people. George Lucas, sir, what you did today made you an idiot. It really and truly did. And as a Star Wars channel and fan of you, George Lucas, it hurts me to say that. But what you just did cannot be reasoned. Thanks for being here today. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you guys on the next one.